Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Chris, arch-usa.com. Um, wrote an article on the layoffs at StockX. I don't want this to be sensational at all, and I'm not going to take it in that direction. Um, my thoughts are with the people who lost their positions with the company. But in saying that, I still need to get to a point where I explain what I've been explaining a lot over the last 5 or 6 years, but my station's not very big, so you guys probably didn't pick up on it, or you missed videos, or you missed articles on the website. But let me just get to the article. So, why do StockX layoffs mirror recent tech company layoffs? Now, real quick, before I jump into this, I used a lot of sources. Now, the sources are linked throughout the article. So if you go to the website and you click through and read those articles, you'll gain more information on this topic of discussion. So let's go. CBS News delivered a report explaining the difficulties tech companies face in uncertain economic periods. In the post, they quote Andrew Challenger, who's the senior vice president of outplacement firm Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. This is what Andrew Challenger said. Many technology startups saw tremendous growth in 2020, particularly in the real estate, financial, and delivery sectors. That's beginning to slow down in users. So the article continues to expand on that quote by looking at companies like Coinbase in the crypto space, where crypto is spiraling. The CBS News article also delivers a list that includes Netflix, Peloton, and Robinhood. StockX can be added to that list after laying off 8% of their workforce. Now, this is important. While many people see StockX as a reseller, that's not the correct way to look at that company. The company is an e-commerce middleman. It's important to understand that StockX's core of their business is tech. It's tech. It's not the products that they're selling. It's tech and users. That's exactly the same as a crypto company. And just like a crypto company, StockX is only as viable as the market itself. If there's no market, there's no product. StockX has been smart enough to try to insulate itself with DropX and their IPO strategy. Now, their IPO is a project where they bring in a brand and they sell a specific set of shoes, and it's distributed directly from the brand through StockX. That's a great insulating factor. But those tactics, DropX and IPO, they rely heavily on brands delivering a product to the platform for distribution. These strategies are often too small to have a significant impact on offsetting operating expenses. And keep operating expenses in your mind throughout this article. And the fact that StockX has a broken business strategy that has shaped the platform since it began allowing sellers on the site. I discussed that broken platform or that broken strategy in this post, and I'm going to click this link so it opens up, and I should make it a target, and then I'll go back to that article. And this was about the fees. And in this post, and I'll put this in the link as well, in this post, I gave a breakdown of shoes that sell at $100 on both eBay and on StockX. And in that breakdown, StockX loses $3 on every sneaker sold under 100. Why is this important? I'm going to get to that because a lot of people assume that everything that resells at these really stupid prices. But those are only the certain shoes that sell at that price. All right, so that article is over here and it'll be in the description. Or you can simply click the link to this article that I'm going through with you right now. So if you read this post, right, you see the mouse moving over here. If you read this post, you realize sales under 100 usually end in a loss for StockX. When you consider the majority of sales and resale happen under $150 and $100, and you factor in operating expenses, there goes that word again. I should have a bell ding every time I say it. StockX is burning through cash. Since the quarantine in 2020, the supply chain has been in disarray. In Nike's most recent quarterly report, fiscal year 22 fourth quarter, they stated inventories for Nike Inc. were 8.4 billion, up 23% compared to the prior year period. Driven by elevated in-transit inventories due to extended lead times from ongoing supply chain disruptions. In the current environment, brands aren't capable of controlling their supply chains. To deviate really quickly, Amazon as a business has been able to offset their supply chain issues by creating an Amazon airline, an Amazon freight and shipping company. Nike has not done that and probably doesn't have the ability to pull that off. No company does, only Amazon. But that's a deviation. Let's get back on point. So if they can't control the supply chain, this means the one segment for StockX that was capable of generating revenue, the DropX and the IPO, that was more revenue than a sneaker sale or any other product they're selling would be. That strategy is uncertain for them. So they can't even rely on DropX and IPOs, which you haven't seen that many of them in the last year. Think about that. The holding of inventory by Nike, if inventory is up 23% more than it was in the previous year, the holding of inventory also means the product isn't reaching wholesale account doors. This limits the number of shoes that are able to be resold. That directly affects StockX, eBay, GOAT, and we can go down the line of other resale platforms. According to the Sourcing Journal, Nike's Matt Friend continued to make statements, including this one. So we're managing our inventory accordingly. We're making decisions about our assortment and product life cycles. We're taking some of our styles to seasonless so that we can manage it on more of a rolling basis. That's a positive spin on something that should worry their wholesale partners. If Nike is moving their business to a seasonless strategy, wholesale accounts won't be able to predict or organize sales strategies throughout their fiscal year. Seasonless will throw off the biggest times of the year for retail, back to school, and the holiday season. The uncertainty of how freight is arriving in the U.S. realizes a discussion I introduced when analyzing Nike's explosive fiscal year 2021. It's specifically quarter one, a year that I labeled as an anomaly for resale. Now, that article is right here. You can click on it if you go to the article and read it. That article is extremely important because sales were explosive in 2021. But that did not mean that resale was recovering. I've been saying for 6 years, I've been saying for 7 years, since 2015, resale is declining. It looked like it was exploding and getting bigger, but it's been declining. You had this really weird spike because of COVID. And that threw everybody out of whack. StockX is a tech company. Period. Like crypto, what tangible product does StockX make? This was a classroom. I'd ask that and I'd be quiet for like 30 seconds and just wait for someone to respond. In this post right here, it became clear StockX couldn't afford to pass on costs to sellers as the introduction of fees in the past led both buyers and sellers to jump ship. So back at that time, StockX had another layoff. And that's what that statement is in regard to. They had that layoff when, or it happened after, they introduced a 3% fee. Resale platforms, anytime they change something, the people who sell shift. They go to different places. This has happened for the last 12 years as resale has expanded. People left eBay, went to Amazon. People left Amazon, went back to eBay. They went to Kixify. They went to different platforms. And when StockX was born, people left eBay and Amazon and went to StockX. There's always movement of sellers from platform to platform where it benefits them the most. I'm asking once again, what tangible product does StockX make? The CBS report explained, so far this year, tech companies worldwide have laid off a total of 35,000 workers, according to Layoffs.fyi, which tracks job cuts in the industry. Many more are abruptly reversing their hiring plans, in particular, formerly fast-growing cryptocurrency companies. Why do I keep bringing up cryptocurrency? StockX. You know what? Let me keep reading. Contrary to what many sneakerheads assume, StockX is not yet a retailer/e-tailer. They are not buying and selling their own goods. Not quite. Not yet. StockX is a tech company, providing a service and capturing a percentage of transactions. StockX's layoffs are on par with the drop in value for a crypto business, because these businesses are both built on speculation. Crypto's built on speculation. StockX is built on speculation. When things slow down, there isn't a physical product to be liquidated to generate revenue in crypto or for a company like StockX. There's no physical product to generate revenue that can be sold. People become liquidity when you don't have a tangible physical product to sell. The layoffs happen because the people become the revenue. In 2017, StockX was at 3 million visits a month. During 2020, StockX hit 46.8 million visits a month. And that kept steady going into 2021. But by the middle of 2021, the site cooled down. But it still garnered 34.69 million visits a month. Now, in April of 2022, just a month or two ago, StockX was at 31.9 million visits a month. At the height of its growth in 2022, 46.8 million visits a month. 31.9 million visits a month. That's a 32% drop in traffic from basically 2021 to 2022. Now, 31 million visits is still considerable, but no business can continue to operate at the same level when traffic is declining, specifically a business with no tangible physical product that relies solely on sellers. A comparison to Nike and Nike's growth since 2017 shows why a tech company built on reselling Nike goods is slowing. Check this out. In 2017, Nike was at 77.3 million visits a month. 2017. In April of 2022, Nike's traffic hit 127.3 million a month. All right. So in this article that you see right here, in the 10 realities of resale being shaped by Nike's incredible fiscal year 2021 Q1 post, I explained why Nike's growth should not equate to a rising tide lifting all boats. And this is what I wrote. Hype is an anomaly. And to be honest, sneakers like Travis Scott's or Ben & Jerry Dunks have such limited quantities. Looking to those releases creates outliers that fail to actually create the micro to macro comparison needed to make predictions or discuss sneaker business. One thing is for certain. Nike's dominance is clear, and the quarantine and months since businesses have reopened have seen some of the biggest numbers for both resellers and retail. Remember, I wrote earlier this year in my last book that resale was trending down. COVID-19 delivered an interesting situation for retail and for resale. Things are good right now, which was back during the COVID quarantine, post quarantine. But I saw a similar trend in 2011 and 2012. And that was when Amazon ramped up and began opening more Seller Central Marketplace accounts. That's a different discussion. This time around, though, StockX and GOAT have helped create an easier path to resale, which created a spike and has contributed to investment dollars flying all around resale. The problem is the investors don't have a real measuring stick for what's actually happening. On the surface, everything looks great. It would appear that Nike's growth is a rising tide. It is not lifting all boats. In Nike's recent fiscal year 22 4Q, they lost, and this is just a couple of days ago as far as June 29th in 2022 is concerned. A couple of days ago, Nike had their quarterly report, end of their fiscal year, and they lost 1%. Now, in your head, you are thinking 1% is nothing. But this is the reality of 1%. That's a ton. It's a ton. Here's the kicker. In their third quarter, revenue grew 5% to $10.1 billion. The company lost, and this was in 2021. All right. The company lost 1% in this last quarter. But when compared to 2020, the revenue was $12.2 billion, and their direct sales continued to grow, up 7%, while wholesale was down 7%. StockX is a middleman built on the back of buyers purchasing from wholesale outlets. Right now, sneaker culture is throwing around a ton of hypotheticals about StockX. Many are excited that the platform is having to adjust. People are comparing it to the Zeta Kick scandal. Nobody should be happy when people lose their jobs. And I don't think that's the intent of some people saying, yeah, good for StockX. They're not happy that people are losing their jobs. They're just sick of resale. When people compare it to the Zeta Kick scandal, and they say that StockX no longer has Zeta Kicks buying and that's hurting StockX, that couldn't be further from the truth. I wrote a post on Zeta's proximity to several of Nike's best factory, employee, and clearance stores. And I explained how even being close to Nike's outlets was no longer able to insulate that business from poor structure. I was explaining why all of resale was being reshaped. Nike controls every part of resale right now. Why? Because the few shoes that are hitting resale from New Balance and Adidas really don't move the market or the needle that much at all as far as revenue for a company like StockX. There's very few products going through that channel. It's not enough to offset operating expenses. I'm saying that word again. Being insulated by being able to utilize Nike as a source, it's not there anymore. I want to end this with a few lines from King Push on Brambleton. And this is, you would pay 16, I would pay 18. When I paid 22, still was a great thing. Laid up counting a million, we daydream. Till the plug took back his half. That's they change. Nike is and will always be the plug. It's dry right now. And with Nike always being the plug, when they have to change the way they label their inventory as seasonless, when product isn't getting in when it's supposed to, it's a drought, man. Like Pusha said, it's almost dry. when you look at the StockX layoffs, think about it in terms of tech companies and realize that this is a dubious time for every company built without a product. I think I want to stop it there. That's the end. I'll see you guys on the next one. I know this was long. If you stayed with it that long, I appreciate you. I still haven't caught up and done any giveaways, man. I'll get on that. I hope the people that got laid off are going to be okay. It's never a good thing, man. I know how difficult it is to find a job in a difficult market. Everybody else out there, keep learning. Sneaker companies, sneaker heads, sneaker culture. All of us have an opportunity to learn, grow, and share. Let's do that as opposed to dealing with a lot of hype and things that don't really count. See you guys on the next one. Peace.